The October morning sun cast long shadows across Fort Braxton's rifle range as Colonel Morrison adjusted his protective eyewear and checked his Barrett M82A1 for the third time. 20 civilian contractors had gathered to observe the demonstration, their clipboards and evaluation forms rustling in the crisp autumn breeze. Morrison prided himself on these displays, showing defense contractors exactly what American military precision could accomplish. Sarah Chon stood quietly at the back of the group, her small frame almost disappearing among the taller men in business suits. Her black hair was pulled into a simple ponytail, and her civilian clothes marked her as just another contractor evaluating equipment specifications. She watched Morrison's preparations with calm attention, noting his grip adjustment and breathing pattern. Morrison stepped to the firing line with practiced confidence, addressing his audience as much as the target. The range stretched 1,200 meters to where a standard military silhouette target waited in the distance. He settled into position, controlled his breathing, and fired. The shot cracked across the range, echoing off the surrounding hills. Through the spotting scope, the impact was clearly visible, striking center mass exactly where Morrison intended. The contractors murmured their approval, several making notes about accuracy and weapon performance. Morrison stood and gestured toward the distant target with obvious satisfaction. "This is standard engagement distance for military snipers," Morrison explained to the group. His voice carried the authority of 15 years commanding the range. "Most enemy contacts occur within this range, making our current equipment specifications perfectly adequate for operational requirements." Chun stepped forward slightly, her movement barely noticeable among the shifting contractors. She studied the range layout, noting the wind flags and terrain features that extended far beyond Morrison's target. Her gaze tracked across the landscape to where the range continued another 2,800 meters to its maximum extent. "The range actually extends to 4,000 meters, Chun observed quietly. Her voice was soft, but carried clearly in the morning air. That distance would provide interesting evaluation data for long-range capabilities. Morrison turned toward her with barely concealed amusement. The other contractors shifted their attention between the colonel and the small woman who had spoken. Several sergeants working nearby stopped their equipment checks to listen. "Miss Chun, I believe," Morrison said, glancing at his roster sheet. He emphasized her civilian status with his tone. 4,000 meters is beyond the effective range of any practical military application. Even our most advanced systems rarely engage beyond 2,000 meters in actual combat situations." Shin nodded thoughtfully, her expression remaining neutral. "Still, the capability exists. The range supports it, and the equipment specifications include those distances in theoretical performance data." Sergeant Rodriguez, who had been organizing ammunition nearby, approached with open curiosity. "Ma'am, with respect, 4,000 meters is nearly 2.5 miles. That's not even theoretical for most shooters. That's impossible. The bullet drop alone would require calculations beyond normal field conditions." Chen acknowledged his comment with a slight smile. "The physics are certainly challenging. Bullet velocity, atmospheric conditions, Earth rotation, temperature gradients, all significant factors at that distance." Morrison sensed an opportunity to demonstrate military superiority over civilian contractors. "Miss Chun, are you suggesting you could engage a target at 4,000 meters? His tone invited the contractors to share his skepticism. Chun paused, considering his question with apparent seriousness. "The conditions today seem favorable. Low wind, stable temperature, good visibility. It would certainly provide comprehensive evaluation data for your equipment specifications." The gathering crowd grew larger as more personnel noticed the unusual conversation. Sergeant Kim joined Rodriguez, along with several Marines from the adjacent training area. Major Williams, who had been reviewing training schedules nearby, approached to observe what was drawing such attention. Morrison recognized the perfect teaching moment. "Miss Chun, I'll make you a proposition." He raised his voice slightly to ensure everyone could hear. If you can hit a target at 4,000 meters with our equipment, your company gets the military contract for evaluation services. But when you miss, you acknowledge that civilian contractors shouldn't evaluate military capabilities they don't understand. Chun met his gaze steadily, showing no reaction to his challenge or its implied dismissal of her expertise. That seems reasonable, she replied, though I would need to examine the equipment first and verify range conditions. Morrison's confidence swelled as the crowd of observers continued growing. Done, he declared. Rodriguez, set up target placement at maximum range. Kim, get the range safety officer involved. This should be educational for everyone present. Chen walked toward the equipment table with the same calm composure she had maintained throughout the conversation. Her movements showed no nervousness or hesitation as she approached the Barrett M82A1 that would determine the outcome of Morrison's challenge. As personnel began preparing for the unprecedented range demonstration, the gathered contractors continued taking notes. Several had begun calculating the mathematical complexity of what Chun had just agreed to attempt. Morrison supervised the target placement with growing satisfaction, certain he was about to demonstrate why military expertise couldn't be replicated by civilian evaluation. The morning sun climbed higher, casting shorter shadows across the range where an impossible shot would soon test everything the military thought they knew about the quiet contractor who had accepted their challenge with such unexpected calm. Sergeant Rodriguez shook his head while watching Chun approach the equipment table. He turned to Sergeant Kim with barely contained amusement. Kim, you ever see a civilian contractor even hold a Barrett before? This is going to be embarrassing for everyone involved. Kim crossed his arms, studying Chen's small frame against the massive rifle system. Ma'am, no disrespect intended, but have you actually fired weapons at distance before? The Barrett's got serious recoil that can knock unprepared shooters off target. Most people need extensive training just to handle the fundamentals. Chun lifted the Barrett M82A1 from its mount, her grip immediately finding the proper balance points. I need the version with the advanced muzzle brake and the upgraded bipod system. This model appears to be the standard configuration. Her technical terminology surprised both sergeants, who exchanged glances of confusion. Morrison approached, sensing an opportunity to further demonstrate the gap between military expertise and civilian pretension. Major Williams, you need to witness this. He called across the range to the sniper school instructor. We have a contractor who thinks she can outperform our trained marksmen at impossible distances. Major Williams approached with professional curiosity rather than amusement. His experience training elite snipers had taught him to observe technique before making judgments. He watched Chun examine the rifle's components with systematic precision, noting how her hands moved across the weapon with obvious familiarity. Chun adjusted the bipod legs with practiced efficiency, testing their stability on different terrain angles. The scope mounts need verification for zero retention at extended range, she noted, checking the torque specifications with her fingertips. These rings show slight, where patterns that could affect precision at distance. Rodriguez looked to Kim with growing puzzlement. How does she know about zero retention? Most contractors barely understand basic ballistics, let alone scope mounting specifications. Thompson, the range safety officer, hurried over after receiving word about the unusual demonstration. Colonel Morrison, sir, we need to discuss liability protocols. 4,000-meter shots exceed our standard safety procedures. Insurance regulations require additional precautions for extended range engagements. Morrison waved off Thompson's concerns with confident dismissal. This won't take long, Thompson. Miss Chun will discover what every professional marksman already knows about practical limitations. Consider it an educational demonstration for our contractor evaluation process. Chun began her preparation sequence, pulling a small notebook from her pocket and consulting weather data on her phone. She calculated atmospheric pressure, temperature gradients, and humidity levels with mathematical precision that caught Williams's attention. Her formulas matched advanced ballistic computation methods taught only in specialized sniper schools. The gathering crowd grew to include Marines from adjacent training areas, drawn by word of the unprecedented challenge. Morrison encouraged their presence, treating the situation as entertainment that would reinforce military superiority over civilian contractors. Kim approached Chin cautiously as she continued her calculations. "Ma'am, those numbers you're working with, they look familiar. Did you study ballistics somewhere? Your calculations match the advanced formulas we use in professional training programs." Chun looked up from her notebook with the same calm expression she had maintained throughout the morning. Physics applies the same way regardless of where you learn it. The variables don't change based on military or civilian education. Williams stepped closer, observing Chin's mathematical approach with increasing interest. Her computation methods were systematic and thorough, incorporating factors that many trained snipers struggled to master. She calculated Coriolis effect, spin drift, and atmospheric density with confidence that suggested extensive experience. Thompson returned with additional safety equipment and range clearance protocols. "Colonel, if we're proceeding with this demonstration, I need all personnel moved to designated safety areas. Extended range shooting requires expanded clearance zones beyond our normal procedures." Morrison supervised the safety preparations while maintaining his confident demeanor. The growing audience of 60 personnel represented perfect circumstances for demonstrating why military training produced capabilities that civilian education could never replicate. Chun completed her environmental calculations and began examining the specific ammunition Morrison had provided. She inspected bullet weight, powder charge, and cartridge consistency with technical knowledge that surprised the ammunition specialist who had prepared the rounds. Rodriguez approached Williams with obvious confusion. "Major, she's handling that equipment like she's done this before. Her technique looks professional, but her background check shows only civilian contractor experience. Something doesn't add up here." Williams watched Chun adjust the rifle's position with movements that matched textbook sniper procedures. Her positioning, breathing control, and equipment familiarity demonstrated training that exceeded what civilian shooting courses typically provided. Every detail of her preparation suggested military precision. Chun finished her preliminary calculations and looked toward the distant target area where personnel were setting up the 4,000-meter marker. The mathematical complexity of her task would challenge even experienced military snipers. Yet she approached it with systematic confidence that intrigued Williams and confused everyone else present. Morrison called for final preparation as the crowd of observers took their positions in the designated safety areas. The impossible shot would soon test whether civilian contractors could match military capabilities or whether professional training remained superior to academic knowledge. Chun approached the meteorological station where Staff Sergeant Davis monitored atmospheric conditions for artillery calculations. "I need current barometric pressure readings, temperature variance by altitude, and wind vector analysis for the next 15 minutes. She requested with technical specificity that made Davis pause his routine data collection. Davis stared at her with confusion mixed with professional interest. "Ma'am, those measurements are typically requested by fire direction control for artillery missions. Are you familiar with meteorological data applications for ballistic computations?" Chun accepted the printed data sheets and began cross-referencing atmospheric readings with her ballistic calculations. Temperature differential between ground level and target altitude affects bullet trajectory through density variations. Current conditions show a 3-degree gradient that requires compensation in elevation adjustment. Major Williams moved closer to observe Chin's mathematical approach, recognizing formulas from advanced sniper instruction that most civilian shooting instructors never encountered. She calculated bullet drop using sophisticated methods that incorporated atmospheric density, altitude variations, and projectile ballistic coefficients with precision that matched military training standards. The crowd of observers continued expanding as word spread through Fort Braxton about the unprecedented challenge taking place at the rifle range. Marines, soldiers, and support personnel gathered in designated safety areas, creating an audience of over 60 military members drawn by curiosity about the civilian contractor attempting an impossible shot. Morrison surveyed the growing audience with satisfaction, recognizing the perfect opportunity to demonstrate military superiority. He approached Lieutenant Colonel Hayes from the adjacent training command. "Hayes, you need to see this. We have a contractor who thinks civilian education compares to our professional training programs." Hayes examined the situation with skeptical amusement. "Morrison, are you seriously allowing an untrained civilian to attempt a 4,000-meter engagement? This could become a safety incident if she doesn't understand proper procedures." Morrison's confidence remained absolute as he gestured toward Chen's small frame against the massive Barrett system. "Hayes, when she fails spectacularly, it will reinforce why military contracts should stay with military personnel. I'm so confident in the outcome that I'll wager next month's duty schedule against your administrative assignments." Chun completed her environmental calculations and moved to the rifle scope, adjusting parallax settings and elevation turrets with systematic precision. Her movements demonstrated familiarity with advanced optics that surprised Thompson, who maintained the range equipment and rarely saw such technical competence for visiting contractors. Williams observed Chen's scope adjustments with growing recognition that her techniques matched procedures taught only in specialized military sniper schools. She compensated for parallax error, tested reticle alignment, and verified tracking accuracy with methods that exceeded basic civilian shooting instruction. Sergeant Kim approached Rodriguez with obvious bewilderment. "Rodriguez, look at how she's handling that equipment. Her technique looks exactly like what they teach at sniper school, but her background shows only contractor experience. How does a civilian learn military-specific procedures?" Rodriguez watched Chen's systematic approach with equal confusion. "Kim, either she's had training that didn't show up in her background check, or she's the fastest learner I've ever seen. Those calculations she's doing match what our best snipers use for extended range engagements." Chen transitioned to her final positioning phase, adopting a prone stance that immediately caught Williams's professional attention. Her body alignment, elbow placement, and breathing rhythm demonstrated textbook sniper positioning that military instructors spent weeks teaching to qualified students. The Barrett's bipod legs found stable purchase on the prepared shooting mat as Chun settled into her firing position. Her natural rifle point aligned perfectly with a distant target without requiring muscular tension to maintain sight picture, indicating extensive experience with precision shooting fundamentals. Morrison called for range status as target placement teams confirmed the 4,000-meter marker was properly positioned and clearly visible through spotting scopes. The impossible distance stretched across the range like a challenge to physics itself, requiring bullet trajectory calculations that pushed equipment specifications to their theoretical limits. Chen's final preparation included checking wind flags at multiple distances along the bullet's projected path. She noted wind direction changes at 1,000-meter intervals and calculated compensation requirements for wind drift that would affect projectile impact at the extreme range she was attempting. Thompson announced range safety protocols over the communication system, ensuring all personnel remained in designated areas during the extended range demonstration. The unprecedented shot required expanded clearance zones that had never been implemented during normal training operations. Williams positioned himself with optimal observation angles to analyze Chen's shooting technique, his professional curiosity now exceeding his initial skepticism. Every aspect of her preparation suggested training that surpassed what civilian shooting schools typically provided, yet her background documentation showed no military experience. Chun completed her sight picture alignment and settled into her final breathing rhythm. The 4,000-meter target waited in the distance, a challenge that had never been attempted by civilian personnel at Fort Braxton and rarely achieved even by trained military snipers under optimal conditions. Morrison raised his binoculars to observe the target area, his confidence absolute that the impossible shot would soon demonstrate the superiority of military training over civilian pretension. The gathered audience of 60 personnel waited in expectant silence for the demonstration that would prove why professional military capabilities remained beyond civilian contractor reach. Chen settled into her final firing position with movements that flowed like choreographed precision. Her breathing cycled into the controlled rhythm that Williams recognized from elite sniper training. Each inhalation and exhalation timed to optimize stability during the critical moment of trigger engagement. The Barrett M82A1 became an extension of her body as she achieved perfect natural point of aim. Her left hand supported the stock with minimal pressure, while her right index finger found the trigger with practice placement that indicated thousands of repetitions. Williams observed her technique with growing recognition that surpassed his initial curiosity. A subtle wind shift registered on the flags positioned at 2,000-meter intervals along the bullet's projected path. Chen detected the change immediately, making minutescope adjustments to compensate for the altered wind vector that would affect trajectory over the extreme distance. Her corrections matched advanced wind reading techniques taught only in specialized military programs. Morrison stood behind his spotting scope with absolute confidence, surrounded by 60 personnel who had gathered to witness what he expected would demonstrate civilian limitations. Lieutenant Colonel Hayes positioned himself nearby, ready to observe the failure that would reinforce military training superiority over contractor pretensions. Chen's heartbeat slowed as she entered the focused state that precision shooting demanded. Her pulse rhythm synchronized with her breathing cycle, creating the physiological stability necessary for accurate trigger control at distances that challenged equipment specifications and human capability alike. The crosshairs settled on the distant target with microscopic precision as Chen calculated the final moment for shot execution. Atmospheric conditions remained stable, wind vectors stayed consistent, and her body position achieved the perfect balance required for the mathematical precision that 4,000 meters demanded. Williams noticed how Chen's entire shooting sequence matched textbook procedures from advanced sniper instruction. Her trigger finger moved straight back with smooth pressure that avoided lateral disturbance, while her body remained motionless except for the controlled breathing that optimized shot timing. The trigger broke cleanly under Chen's controlled pressure, sending the .50 caliber projectile downrange at 2,800 feet per second toward a target that existed at the theoretical limits of the weapon system's capabilities. The Barrett's muzzle brake redirected propellant gases efficiently, managing recoil that would have disrupted lesser shooters. Morrison tracked the bullet's supersonic flight through his spotting scope, while Hayes synchronized his observation equipment to verify impact results. The projectile traveled its ballistic arc across 4,000 meters of terrain, maintaining velocity and trajectory according to the mathematical calculations Chen had performed with such systematic precision. For 0.2 seconds passed in absolute silence as the bullet crossed the extreme distance at supersonic speed. 60 personnel held their collective breath while the projectile followed its computed path through atmospheric conditions that Chen had measured and compensated for with professional accuracy. The target impact occurred with decisive finality that registered clearly through multiple spotting scopes positioned to verify results. Hayes confirmed the hit through his optical equipment, while Morrison stared through his scope with growing disbelief that what he was observing had actually occurred. Complete silence dominated the range as the reality of Chen's successful shot penetrated the consciousness of every witness present. The impossible had become factual through demonstration that challenged everything the military personnel thought they understood about civilian contractor capabilities. Morrison examined the target repeatedly through his spotting scope, unable to process how Chen had achieved what he had declared impossible. The bullet hole appeared exactly where advanced ballistic calculations would predict, centered perfectly despite the extreme distance that exceeded most military engagement parameters. Rodriguez immediately contacted range control to verify target integrity and confirm that no equipment malfunction had created false impact indicators. His radio communications requested independent verification of the shot results from multiple observation points positioned along the range complex. Hayes lowered his spotting scope with professional recognition that what he had witnessed represented shooting capability that exceeded standard military training outcomes. The mathematical precision required for 4,000 meter accuracy demanded expertise that surpassed what civilian education typically provided. Chen remained in position momentarily, completing her follow-through procedures with the same systematic approach she had maintained throughout her preparation sequence. Her post-shot routine matched professional protocols that Williams had observed only among the most qualified military marksmen. Thompson confirmed over radio communications that target verification teams were proceeding to the 4,000 meter position to document physical evidence of Chen's successful impact. Multiple observation posts reported consistent confirmation that the shot had achieved direct center mass accuracy. Williams approached Chen with newfound respect, mixed with professional curiosity about how she had acquired capabilities that matched elite military standards. Her demonstration had challenged his assumptions about civilian contractor qualifications and raised questions about her actual background and training experience. Morrison stood frozen behind his spotting scope, unable to reconcile his absolute confidence in civilian limitations with the undeniable evidence that Chen had successfully completed what he had declared physically impossible. The gathered crowd of 60 personnel remained silent, processing the implications of what they had witnessed. Chen finally rose from her firing position with the same calm composure she had maintained throughout the entire challenge sequence. Her successful 4,000 meter shot had transformed the morning's demonstration from entertainment into a revelation that would require serious evaluation of everything the military thought they knew about the quiet contractor who had just rewritten their understanding of impossible. Williams approached Chen as she began disassembling the Barrett with systematic efficiency that matched military armor procedures. "Miss Chen, that shooting technique you demonstrated matches advanced training protocols that most civilian instructors never encounter. Where exactly did you develop those capabilities?" Chen removed the bolt carrier group with practiced movements while maintaining her calm demeanor. "Shooting fundamentals apply consistently regardless of where you learn them, Major. Physics and mathematics work the same way in civilian and military applications." Her deflection carried the same professional politeness she had maintained throughout the morning, but Williams noticed how she avoided providing specific details about her training background. Chen's equipment handling continued demonstrating familiarity that exceeded what contractor documentation typically indicated. Morrison strode over with obvious agitation, his confidence shattered by Chen's impossible achievement. "Miss Chen, I need to review your contractor credentials immediately." He demanded access to her identification and background documentation. That shot requires explanation beyond standard civilian shooting instruction. Chen reached into her equipment bag and produced a laminated contractor identification card along with access documentation for Fort Braxton. Morrison examined the credentials carefully, noting the basic security clearance level that seemed inadequate for someone demonstrating elite shooting capabilities. Sergeant Kim approached Rodriguez with his smartphone displaying search results that raised immediate questions. "Rodriguez, I tried looking up Chen's contracting company online. Their website shows minimal information, and most search results lead to generic business listings without operational details." Rodriguez pulled out his radio to contact the contractor database maintained by Base Security. "Control, this is Rodriguez at Range 7. I need background verification on contractor Sarah Chun, company designation Alpha 77 Consulting. Her demonstration today requires additional documentation review." The radio response came back within minutes, creating more confusion than resolution. "Rodriguez, Chen's contractor file shows standard clearance, but has several sections marked as requiring higher authorization access. Recommend escalation to security office for complete background verification." Thompson approached Morrison with obvious concern about the morning's unprecedented events. "Colonel, I need to report this incident to Base Command. A 4,000-meter successful engagement by civilian personnel exceeds our normal documentation requirements. This represents an unusual incident requiring administrative review." Morrison's frustration grew as the implications of Chen's success created administrative complications he had never anticipated. "Thompson, document everything carefully. I want complete records of equipment used, atmospheric conditions, and witness statements from all personnel present." Williams stepped away from the group and contacted the Sniper School Administration Office. "This is Major Williams at Fort Braxton Range 7. I need verification of whether a Sarah Chun completed any training programs through your facility. Her demonstrated capabilities suggest advanced instruction that requires confirmation." Chun continued her equipment organization with professional efficiency, clearly preparing to depart despite the growing investigation around her activities. Her movements showed no nervousness about the scrutiny, but Williams detected subtle signs that she preferred to avoid extended questioning about her background. Hayes approached Morrison with practical concerns about the morning's events. "Morrison, if Chun has undisclosed military experience, her presence here as a civilian contractor represents a potential security issue. We need verification of her actual qualifications and training history." The contractor database response arrived through Rodriguez's radio communication, adding another layer of mystery to Chen's background. "Rodriguez, preliminary check shows Chen's file contains classified sections requiring special authorization. Standard base clearance insufficient for complete background review. Kim discovered additional online anomalies while researching Chen's contracting company. Rodriguez, their business registration shows recent incorporation, but their client list includes government contracts that typically require established operational history. Something doesn't match their public profile." Chun secured her equipment bag and stood to leave, maintaining the same calm professionalism that had characterized her entire morning at the range. "Thank you for the demonstration opportunity, Colonel Morrison. I believe we gathered sufficient evaluation data for equipment assessment purposes." Morrison stepped forward to block her departure path, his authority reasserted despite his earlier humiliation. "Miss Chun, you need to remain available for documentation procedures. That shot requires complete incident reporting, and we need additional information about your training background." Williams returned from his phone call with troubling news that complicated the situation further. "Morrison, Sniper School has no record of Sarah Chun completing any training programs. Her capabilities suggest instruction they provide, but no documentation exists in their student records." Thompson coordinated with base security while observing Chen's professional composure under increasing scrutiny. "Control, we need security personnel at Range 7 for contractor verification. Ms. Chen's demonstration today raises questions requiring immediate background confirmation and identity verification." Chen remained perfectly calm despite the mounting investigation surrounding her activities, but her preference for quick departure had become obvious to everyone present. The morning's challenge had transformed from entertainment into a security incident requiring resolution. Morrison faced the growing realization that his simple demonstration had exposed something far more complex than civilian contractor pretensions. Chen's 4,000-meter success demanded explanations that her standard documentation failed to provide, launching an investigation that would soon exceed his authority to control. Security Chief Wallace arrived at Range 7 within 8 minutes of Thompson's request, his radio crackling with coordination updates as base security mobilized to address the unusual contractor incident. Wallace examined the gathered crowd of 60 personnel before focusing his attention on Chun, who continued organizing her equipment with methodical precision. "Miss Chun, I need your complete identification documentation and security clearance verification immediately." Wallace's tone carried the authority of 15 years managing base security protocols. "This incident requires comprehensive background confirmation before you can depart Fort Braxton property." Chin produced her contractor identification card and base access credentials without hesitation, maintaining the professional composure that had characterized her entire morning demonstration. Her documentation appeared standard for civilian contractors, showing basic clearance levels appropriate for equipment evaluation assignments. Wallace examined Chin's credentials through his handheld scanner, initiating background verification procedures that would access multiple government databases. The initial results appeared routine until classification barriers appeared on a screen, indicating sections of Chin's file required authorization levels beyond his standard access. Morrison approached Wallace with growing urgency about the morning's unprecedented events. "Chief Wallace, this contractor just demonstrated shooting capabilities that exceed our trained military personnel. Her 4,000-meter success requires complete security review of her background and qualifications." Wallace's scanner continued processing Chin's identification while revealing additional classification layers that complicated routine verification procedures. "Miss Chin, your background file contains restricted sections requiring special authorization access. Standard contractor clearance appears insufficient for complete documentation review." Chin's calm expression showed the first subtle signs of discomfort as security procedures intensified beyond routine contractor processing. "I completed all required documentation through proper channels before assignment to Fort Braxton. My credentials should satisfy standard contractor verification requirements." Morrison stepped away to contact Base Command about the escalating security situation. "Base Command, this is Colonel Morrison at Range 7. We have a contractor security irregularity requiring immediate review. Ms. Chun demonstrated capabilities suggesting undisclosed military background. Williams used his smartphone to research elite sniper records while observing Chin's increasing unease with the expanding investigation. He accessed military databases containing information about record-setting long-range engagements, searching for comparable achievements to Chin's 4,000-meter success. Rodriguez completed his communication with the contractor database and approached Wallace with troubling verification results. "Chief, Chin's file shows multiple classification levels that exceed our base authorization. The database recommends escalation to intelligence personnel for complete background review." Kim continued his internet research using multiple search engines and social media platforms, finding limited information about Chin's personal background. "Chief Wallace, her online presence shows only recent contractor work history. No social media posts about shooting sports or military connections anywhere." Wallace's security scanner finally completed its analysis, displaying results that triggered automatic escalation protocols. "Ms. Chun, your background verification has encountered classification barriers requiring intelligence officer review. Base security cannot complete standard contractor processing with available authorization." Chin's professional demeanor remained intact, but Williams noticed subtle behavioral changes indicating her discomfort with the investigation's expansion beyond routine procedures. She checked her watch and glanced toward the range exit with obvious preference for concluding the morning's activities. Morrison completed his communication with Base Command, receiving instructions that escalated the situation to higher authority levels. "Chief Wallace, Base Command is sending Colonel Hendricks to oversee this investigation. They want complete documentation of Chin's demonstration and background verification results." Williams discovered information through his database research that added another dimension to the mystery surrounding Chin's capabilities. "Rodriguez, Chin's 4,000-meter shot exceeds current Marine Corps sniper records by 400 meters. That distance represents achievement beyond documented military capabilities." Thompson coordinated with range personnel to preserve all evidence from Chin's demonstration while security procedures continued expanding. All equipment, ammunition, and environmental data were being documented as potential evidence for investigation that exceeded routine contractor incidents. Wallace initiated contact with the base intelligence office after his verification procedures encountered multiple classification barriers. Intelligence Office. This is Security Chief Wallace at Range 7. I need immediate assistance with contractor background verification involving multiple classification levels. Kim approached Rodriguez with additional research results that deepened the mystery surrounding Chen's background. Rodriguez, I found her contractor company registration, but their business history shows government contracts requiring security clearances that don't match her documented experience level. Chen maintained her professional composure while clearly recognizing that the morning's demonstration had triggered security procedures far beyond routine contractor evaluation. Her successful 4,000 meter shot had transformed a simple equipment assessment into a formal investigation requiring higher military authority. Wallace received confirmation that intelligence personnel were en route to Range 7, escalating Chen's situation from routine security verification to formal intelligence investigation. Miss Chen, you need to remain available for additional questioning. This matter now exceeds standard security procedures. Morrison surveyed the expanding investigation with growing realization that his morning challenge had exposed something far more significant than civilian contractor pretensions. Chen's impossible achievement had triggered military security protocols that would soon involve personnel with authority to access her complete background documentation. Captain Burke arrived at Range 7 15 minutes after Wallace's intelligence request, his unmarked vehicle suggesting the serious nature of the contractor security breach. Burke's approach demonstrated the systematic methodology that military intelligence applied to situations involving potential operational security violations. Burke examined Chen's identification documents while accessing classified databases through his secure tablet computer. Miss Chen, preliminary background checks reveal your records are compartmentalized beyond standard base clearance levels. This requires investigation to determine appropriate security protocols. Chun maintained her professional composure despite the escalating military response to her morning demonstration. Captain, I completed all required documentation through established contractor channels. My credentials should satisfy verification requirements for equipment evaluation assignments. Burke's initial database queries encountered multiple classification barriers that triggered automatic security protocols. Wallace, her background file contains operational compartments requiring special access authorization. Standard contractor verification procedures are insufficient for complete documentation review. Williams approached Burke with compiled evidence from Chen's demonstration that supported conclusions about her advanced training. Captain Burke, I documented her shooting technique, ballistic calculations, and equipment familiarity. Every aspect matches instruction provided only through specialized military programs. Burke reviewed Williams's evidence compilation while his secure communications established contact with higher headquarters intelligence personnel. The documentation showed systematic professional capabilities that exceeded civilian contractor qualifications and suggested undisclosed military background. Morrison recognized the serious implications if Chun represented an undisclosed military asset operating under civilian contractor cover. Captain Burke, if Miss Chun has concealed military background, my unauthorized challenge may have exposed classified personnel to unnecessary operational security risks. Thompson coordinated with range personnel to preserve video documentation from security cameras that had recorded Chen's entire demonstration sequence. The footage showed her professional technique, systematic preparation, and advanced capabilities that contradicted her documented civilian contractor status. Burke established secure communication with intelligence headquarters while reviewing the expanding evidence compilation. Control, this is Burke at Fort Braxton investigating contractor security anomaly. Subject demonstrates capabilities suggesting special operations background requiring immediate verification. Rodriguez and Kim interviewed other civilian contractors present during Chen's demonstration, gathering statements about her unusual expertise and professional techniques. The contractors confirmed Chen's advanced knowledge exceeded typical civilian shooting instruction and matched military training standards. Burke's secure communication produced partial authorization to access higher classification levels of Chen's background documentation. The preliminary results revealed operational compartments indicating special operations connections that explained her demonstrated capabilities. Chen's professional demeanor showed increasing signs of tension as intelligence investigation procedures expanded beyond routine contractor verification. Her preference for departure had become obvious, but security protocols now prevented her from leaving Fort Braxton without complete clearance. Thompson provided Burke with technical analysis of Chen's 4,000-meter shot, including environmental conditions, equipment specifications, and mathematical calculations required for successful engagement. The documentation demonstrated precision that exceeded documented achievements by current military personnel. Williams compiled additional evidence from his observation of Chen's preparation sequence, noting specific techniques that matched classified sniper manual procedures not available through civilian instruction. Her systematic approach indicated training from specialized military programs. Burke received expanded authorization from intelligence headquarters, allowing access to operational compartments of Chen's background file. The revealed information showed connections to special operations units that explained her elite shooting capabilities and advanced technical knowledge. Morrison faced growing realization that his morning demonstration had evolved into a significant operational security incident requiring formal intelligence review. Chen's successful challenge had exposed potential classified personnel to scrutiny that exceeded his authority to control. Rodriguez completed interviews with range personnel who had observed Chen's equipment handling and technical expertise throughout the morning demonstration. Every witness confirmed capabilities that surpassed civilian contractor qualifications and suggested professional military training. Burke's investigation revealed sufficient evidence to conclude that Chen's background contained special operations elements requiring enhanced security protocols. The preliminary findings indicated she possessed training and capabilities that exceeded her documented civilian contractor status. Kim presented Burke with research results showing anomalies in Chen's contractor company background and client relationships. The documentation suggested business arrangements that typically required security clearances exceeding her documented authorization levels. Burke completed his preliminary investigation and established contact with specialized headquarters personnel qualified to handle cases involving suspected special operations assets. The evidence compilation supported conclusions that Chen required enhanced security procedures. Thompson coordinated implementation of security protocols designed for situations involving potential classified personnel operating under civilian cover. Chen would be required to remain at Fort Braxton pending complete identity verification through appropriate intelligence channels. Burke informed Morrison that Chen's detention was necessary pending resolution of security concerns that exceeded base authority levels. The investigation had revealed sufficient evidence to conclude that routine contractor procedures were inadequate for her case. Colonel Hendricks received Burke's urgent request while reviewing monthly training reports in his office, but the intelligence officer's description of the contractor incident required immediate personal attention. Hendricks drove to Range 7 understanding that situations involving potential special operations personnel exceeded routine base administrative procedures. Burke briefed Hendricks using the comprehensive evidence package compiled throughout the morning investigation. Colonel, Ms. Chen demonstrated 4,000-meter shooting capability, advanced technical knowledge, and systematic techniques that match classified training protocols. Her background file contains operational compartments requiring Pentagon authorization access. Hendricks examined the evidence compilation while recognizing the serious implications of potentially exposing classified personnel through unauthorized challenges. Burke, if Chun represents special operations assets operating under civilian cover, this incident constitutes a major operational security breach requiring immediate higher headquarters involvement. Chin sat in the base security office conference room, maintaining her professional composure despite the escalating military response to her morning demonstration. Her calm demeanor suggested familiarity with security procedures, though she clearly preferred resolution that would allow her departure from Fort Braxton. Burke established secure communication with Pentagon intelligence personnel, while Hendricks reviewed video footage of Chin's systematic preparation and successful 4,000-meter engagement. Pentagon Control. This is Captain Burke at Fort Braxton requesting immediate operational security review for suspected special operations asset operating under civilian contractor cover. The Pentagon response required verification of Chin's demonstration capabilities and review of all evidence supporting conclusions about her classified background. Burke transmitted technical documentation, witness statements, and video footage through secure channels for higher headquarters analysis. Williams presented Hendricks with detailed analysis of Chin's shooting technique, noting specific procedures that match classified sniper manual instructions not available through civilian training programs. Colonel, every aspect of her preparation sequence indicates training from specialized military instruction that exceeds standard contractor qualifications. Hendricks contacted the Pentagon directly after reviewing the complete evidence package, recognizing that Chin's situation required authorization levels beyond his command authority. Pentagon Operations. This is Colonel Hendricks at Fort Braxton. We have confirmed special operations capabilities demonstrated by personnel operating under civilian contractor documentation. Morrison approached Hendricks with growing concern about his role in exposing potential classified personnel to unnecessary scrutiny. Colonel, if Ms. Chun represents special operations assets, my unauthorized challenge may have created serious operational security violations requiring formal investigation. Burke received instructions from Pentagon intelligence requiring Chin's detention pending complete identity verification through appropriate special operations channels. The preliminary evidence supported conclusions that routine contractor procedures were inadequate for someone demonstrating her documented capabilities. Hendricks implemented enhanced security protocols designed for situations involving suspected special operations personnel operating under civilian cover. Chun would remain in comfortable detention at Fort Braxton while Pentagon personnel conducted appropriate background verification procedures. Thompson coordinated with base security to establish appropriate accommodation for Chin's detention, ensuring professional treatment while maintaining security protocols required for potential special operations assets. The facility arrangements reflected recognition that Chun might represent classified military personnel. Burke's secure communication with Pentagon intelligence produced authorization for expanded background investigation involving multiple intelligence agencies. The scope of required verification indicated Chin's background contained operational elements that exceeded routine special operations personnel documentation. Williams completed his technical analysis of Chin's demonstration, documenting capabilities that match performance standards from classified military programs. His evidence compilation supported conclusions that Chun possessed training and expertise available only through specialized special operations instruction. Morrison faced potential career consequences as Hendricks reviewed the unauthorized challenge that had exposed potential classified personnel to operational security risks. The incident represented serious judgment failures that could affect Morrison's future command assignments and military career progression. Burke received urgent communication from Pentagon requesting immediate secure video conference to discuss Chin's case with specialized personnel qualified to handle situations involving suspected Tier 1 operational assets. The Pentagon response indicated Chin's background contained elements requiring highest classification review. Hendricks recognized the expanding investigation had revealed operational security concerns that exceeded Fort Braxton's authority to resolve independently. Chin's presence at the base represented potential security breach requiring Pentagon involvement and specialized intelligence personnel. Thompson implemented emergency security protocols as the investigation transitioned from routine contractor verification to formal operational security review involving Pentagon intelligence personnel. The expanded procedures reflected recognition that Chen's case exceeded standard base security capabilities. Rodriguez and Kim completed witness statement compilation documenting Chen's professional capabilities and advanced technical knowledge throughout the morning demonstration. Their evidence supported conclusions that Chen possessed training and expertise that contradicted her documented civilian contractor status. Burke prepared for the Pentagon video conference while recognizing that Chen's investigation had evolved into a significant operational security case requiring specialized intelligence review. The evidence compilation suggested involvement of special operations elements that exceeded his authorization to investigate independently. Hendricks contacted his superior officers to report the operational security situation that had developed from Morrison's routine contractor demonstration. The incident required formal reporting through command channels due to potential exposure of classified personnel operating under civilian cover. Chen remained professionally calm in detention while understanding that her morning demonstration had triggered military security procedures requiring resolution through appropriate special operations channels. Her situation had evolved far beyond routine contractor verification into formal intelligence investigation requiring Pentagon authorization. The secure video conference activated at 1,400 hours with Colonel Martinez from Pentagon Joint Special Operations Command appearing on the encrypted screen in Hendricks's conference room. Burke, Williams, and Morrison assembled around the table, while Chen remained in adjacent detention under security protocols. Colonel Martinez reviewed the evidence package transmitted from Fort Braxton before addressing the assembled officers with information that would resolve the morning's escalating investigation. Gentlemen, Miss Sarah Chun operates under the call sign Ghost 7 and represents one of our most classified special operations assets. Hendricks absorbed the revelation while recognizing the serious implications of Chen's exposure through Morrison's unauthorized challenge. Colonel Martinez, we need immediate guidance on operational security protocols. Ghost 7's capabilities were demonstrated publicly before 60 military personnel. Martinez accessed Chen's operational file through secure Pentagon systems, revealing background information that explained her extraordinary shooting demonstration. Ghost 7 has 347 confirmed kills across classified operations in 6 countries over 8 years. Her 4,000-meter shot represents routine capability for her training level. Burke understood immediately why Chen's background verification had encountered multiple classification barriers requiring Pentagon authorization. Captain Martinez, Ghost 7's records were compartmentalized beyond our access levels. Her contractor cover identity appears designed to conceal special operations background. Martinez confirmed Burke's assessment while explaining the operational context that had brought Chun to Fort Braxton under civilian contractor documentation. Ghost 7 was conducting covert evaluation of contractor security protocols at your installation. Her mission involved testing whether base personnel could identify special operations assets operating under civilian cover. Morrison realized with growing horror that his confident challenge had exposed a classified special operations asset to unnecessary scrutiny and potential operational compromise. Colonel Martinez, my unauthorized demonstration may have compromised Ghost 7's mission and violated operational security protocols. Martinez reviewed the morning's events while assessing the operational security implications of Chen's exposure through Morrison's public challenge. Colonel Morrison, your demonstration actually served Ghost 7's mission by testing base security responses to unusual contractor capabilities. However, it also exposed significant procedural weaknesses. Williams understood that his technical observations of Chen's shooting technique had correctly identified elite military training that exceeded civilian contractor qualifications. Colonel Martinez, Ghost 7's systematic preparation matched classified sniper manual procedures. Her expertise was immediately recognizable to trained observers. Burke recognized that the investigation procedures he had implemented were appropriate for suspected special operations personnel, but Chen's actual classification level exceeded his initial assessment. Sir, Ghost 7's operational compartments required Pentagon authorization because she represents Tier 1 special operations assets. Martinez explained the broader implications of Chen's mission while addressing the procedural failures that her demonstration had revealed. Ghost 7's assignment was evaluating whether Fort Braxton security personnel could identify and properly handle suspected special operations assets operating under civilian cover. Hendricks realized that Chen's morning demonstration had simultaneously fulfilled her evaluation mission while exposing serious operational security weaknesses requiring immediate correction. Colonel Martinez, Ghost 7's 4,000-meter shot triggered appropriate security responses, but initial contractor screening failed to detect her capabilities. Thompson joined the conference to provide technical documentation of Chen's demonstration while learning about the operational context that explained her extraordinary capabilities. Ghost 7's systematic preparation and successful engagement represented standard performance for her classification level. Martinez outlined the immediate procedural changes required by Chen's mission assessment and Morrison's unauthorized challenge. Fort Braxton must implement enhanced contractor screening protocols and improved special operations asset recognition training for security personnel. Burke understood that his investigation procedures had correctly identified Chen as requiring special operations handling, but the incident revealed gaps in initial contractor verification that could compromise future operations. Sir, Ghost 7's contractor documentation passed routine screening despite her elite capabilities. Morrison faced the reality that his confident demonstration had inadvertently served as a test case for operational security procedures while exposing his own judgment failures in challenging suspected classified personnel. Colonel Martinez, I failed to recognize potential security implications before authorizing the demonstration. Williams received confirmation that his technical analysis correctly identified Ghost 7's elite training, demonstrating that experienced military instructors could recognize special operations capabilities through systematic observation. Sir, Ghost 7's technique was immediately distinguishable from civilian contractor qualifications. Martinez concluded the briefing by outlining immediate operational requirements resulting from Chen's mission assessment and the morning security incident. Ghost 7 will complete her evaluation mission with enhanced security awareness, while Fort Braxton implements revised contractor protocols. Hendricks coordinated implementation of new security procedures, while recognizing that Chen's demonstration had provided valuable assessment of base operational security capabilities. Ghost 7's mission had revealed both strengths and weaknesses in current contractor verification protocols. Burke received authorization to release Chen from detention while maintaining operational security protocols appropriate for special operations assets, completing classified missions. Ghost 7 would continue her contractor cover while base personnel implemented enhanced security awareness. Martinez emphasized that Chen's identity as Ghost 7 must remain classified, while Fort Braxton personnel learned from the operational security lessons her demonstration had provided. The incident represented both successful mission completion and required procedural improvements. Colonel Martinez concluded the secure video conference by issuing immediate directives that would address the operational security failures exposed through Ghost 7's demonstration. Effective immediately, Colonel Morrison is relieved of range command pending formal security review of his decision to challenge suspected classified personnel without proper authorization. Morrison accepted his relief from range duties while understanding the career implications of his unauthorized challenge to Ghost 7. Colonel Martinez, I take full responsibility for the operational security breach. My judgment failure in challenging Miss Chun violated protocols designed to protect special operations assets. Hendricks implemented Martinez's directives while coordinating immediate personnel reassignments required by the morning security incident. Major Williams, You demonstrated proper recognition of unusual capabilities and appropriate escalation procedures. You are assigned as Ghost 7's military liaison for the remainder of her mission. Williams accepted his new assignment with professional recognition that Ghost 7's presence required specialized coordination between her undercover mission and base security requirements. Colonel Hendricks, I will ensure Ghost 7 receives appropriate support while maintaining operational security protocols. Security Chief Wallace received immediate instructions to implement enhanced contractor screening procedures based on lessons learned from Ghost 7's successful penetration of standard verification protocols. Wallace, your new procedures must detect special operations capabilities that could indicate classified personnel operating under civilian cover. Chun emerged from detention and rejoined the investigation team for formal debriefing of her mission findings. The Pentagon required comprehensive assessment of security vulnerabilities she had identified during her contractor evaluation assignment at Fort Braxton. Burke coordinated with Pentagon intelligence to document Ghost 7's mission assessment while implementing new operational security measures throughout the base. Captain Burke, you correctly identified special operations indicators and properly escalated the investigation. You will oversee implementation of revised security protocols. Morrison faced the immediate reality that his range command relief represented the beginning of formal career consequences for his operational security violations. His confident challenge to Ghost 7 had demonstrated judgment failures that would affect his future military assignments. Wallace began immediate revision of contractor screening procedures while recognizing that Ghost 7's demonstration had exposed serious gaps in current verification protocols. Chief Wallace, standard background checks failed to detect elite capabilities that should have triggered enhanced security procedures. Chun conducted formal debriefing with Pentagon intelligence personnel through secure communication channels, documenting the multiple security vulnerabilities her mission had identified throughout Fort Braxton's contractor verification and personnel screening processes. Williams coordinated with base administration to establish appropriate liaison procedures for Ghost 7's continued mission while maintaining her contractor cover identity. Major Williams, Ghost 7 will complete her evaluation assignment with enhanced security awareness from base personnel. Burke received authorization to access additional classified training materials required for implementing enhanced operational security measures throughout Fort Braxton. His new responsibilities included developing recognition protocols for identifying potential special operations assets operating under civilian cover. Thompson documented the complete range incident for formal operational security review, while recognizing that Ghost 7's demonstration had revealed both procedural strengths and critical weaknesses in base security responses. Morrison reported to Hendricks for reassignment to administrative duties pending completion of the formal security review that would determine his future military career prospects. Colonel Hendricks, I understand the gravity of my operational security failures and accept appropriate consequences. Wallace coordinated with multiple base departments to implement immediate contractor screening improvements based on Ghost 7's successful penetration of existing verification procedures. The enhanced protocols would prevent future special operations assets from operating undetected under civilian contractor cover. Chun completed her Pentagon debriefing while maintaining her contractor cover identity for the remainder of her Fort Braxton mission. Her assessment had provided valuable intelligence about base security capabilities and required procedural improvements. Williams received formal commendation orders from Pentagon for his proper recognition of unusual capabilities and appropriate escalation of security concerns. Major Williams, your professional observation skills correctly identified Ghost 7's elite training and triggered proper investigative procedures. Burke began implementation of base-wide operational security training designed to help personnel recognize indicators of special operations capabilities among civilian contractors and visitors. The enhanced awareness programs would improve detection of classified personnel operating undercover identities. Morrison coordinated his transition from range command to administrative assignment, while accepting that his unauthorized challenge to Ghost 7 represented a significant career setback requiring formal review. Wallace completed preliminary revision of contractor verification procedures and began coordination with other military installations to share lessons learned from Ghost 7's successful security assessment mission. Chun prepared to continue her contractor evaluation mission with the enhanced security awareness that her demonstration had created among Fort Braxton personnel. Her 4,000 meter shot had successfully tested base security responses while revealing critical procedural improvements required for protecting special operations assets. Fort Braxton implemented comprehensive security protocol revisions within 72 hours of Ghost 7's identity revelation, transforming contractor verification procedures that had remained unchanged for 8 years. Security Chief Wallace coordinated with Pentagon intelligence to establish enhanced screening requirements that would detect special operations capabilities among civilian personnel. The new contractor screening protocols required mandatory background verification through specialized databases accessible only to personnel with enhanced security clearance. Wallace briefed department heads on recognition indicators that could suggest special operations training hidden beneath civilian contractor documentation. Range Officer Thompson received detailed instructions for implementing revised demonstration protocols designed to prevent unauthorized capability challenges that could expose classified personnel operating under civilian cover. Thompson, no contractor demonstrations exceeding standard military parameters without prior security clearance verification and command authorization. Morrison completed his transfer to base administrative services while accepting permanent loss of range command responsibilities. His new assignment involved coordinating supply logistics, representing appropriate utilization of his organizational capabilities while removing him from positions requiring security judgment. Williams began specialized training for his expanded role as Special Operations Liaison Officer, receiving classified instruction on recognizing and coordinating with various special operations assets that might operate under civilian cover at Fort Braxton. Base personnel attended mandatory briefings designed to improve recognition of potential classified assets among contractors, visitors, and temporary personnel. The training emphasized observation indicators that could suggest advanced military capabilities concealed beneath civilian documentation. Chun completed her comprehensive security assessment while maintaining contractor cover, identifying 12 distinct vulnerabilities in Fort Braxton's personnel verification, facility access, and operational security procedures. Her mission findings provided Pentagon intelligence with detailed recommendations for systemic improvements. Rodriguez and Kim received specialized training as part of the Enhanced Security Awareness Program, learning recognition techniques for identifying unusual capabilities that could indicate special operations background among civilian personnel. Wallace coordinated implementation of new visitor screening procedures requiring enhanced verification for any contractor requesting access to ranges, training facilities, or technical areas where classified capabilities might be observed or demonstrated. The Pentagon transmitted formal commendation to Fort Braxton for appropriate escalation and investigation procedures after Ghost 7's exposure, while requiring immediate implementation of all security improvements identified through her assessment mission. Burke received authorization to establish permanent Special Operations Coordination protocols at Fort Braxton, recognizing the installation's strategic importance for testing security procedures involving classified personnel operating under civilian cover. Chen's assessment identified specific procedural gaps, including insufficient contractor background verification, inadequate recognition training for security personnel, and unclear escalation procedure for suspected special operations assets discovered during routine operations. Administrative personnel throughout Fort Braxton received updated training on documentation procedures for incidents involving suspected classified personnel, ensuring proper handling and escalation through appropriate intelligence channels rather than standard administrative processing. Williams coordinated with Pentagon's Special Operations Command to establish regular liaison procedures, ensuring Fort Braxton security personnel maintained current awareness of potential special operations activities requiring base support or coordination. Morrison adapted to his administrative role while recognizing that his operational security failure had provided valuable lessons for improving base-wide security procedures. His experience became part of training curricula demonstrating consequences of unauthorized challenges to suspected classified personnel. Wallace implemented technological improvements to contractor screening systems, establishing automated alerts for background files containing classification barriers that required special operations verification procedures. The Pentagon designated Fort Braxton as a model installation for contractor security protocols, requiring other military bases to adopt similar enhanced verification procedures based on lessons learned from GO-7's successful assessment mission. Burke established formal coordination procedures with intelligence agencies for situations involving suspected special operations assets, ensuring appropriate expertise remained available for complex cases requiring specialized knowledge and authorization levels. Chun prepared her final mission report for Joint Special Operations Command while maintaining her contractor cover identity, documenting both successful security responses and critical improvements required for protecting special operations personnel in similar future operations. Range personnel received comprehensive retraining on proper procedures for contractor demonstrations, emphasizing security verification requirements and appropriate escalation protocols when unusual capabilities were observed among civilian personnel. Thompson implemented new documentation requirements for all range activities involving contractors, ensuring complete records existed for any demonstrations or capability assessments that might reveal information relevant to operational security. Williams received permanent assignment as Fort Braxton's Special Operations Liaison Officer, representing recognition that his professional observation skills and proper security responses had identified critical institutional improvements requiring ongoing coordination with Pentagon's Special Operations Command. Chun completed her final mission report for Joint Special Operations Command after 3 weeks of comprehensive security assessment at Fort Braxton. Her evaluation recommended the installation receive enhanced security classification based on demonstrated capability to properly identify and handle special operations assets operating under civilian cover. The Pentagon accepted Chin's recommendation while implementing her security protocol improvements across 12 additional military installations. GO-7's mission had provided the intelligence community with valuable assessment methodology for testing operational security at facilities requiring enhanced protection protocols. Morrison accepted his permanent administrative assignment with professional recognition that his operational security failure had contributed to important institutional improvements. His experience became integrated into military leadership training curricula as demonstration of consequences from unauthorized challenges to suspected classified personnel. Williams completed Advanced Special Operations Liaison training at the Pentagon before returning to Fort Braxton with expanded responsibilities for coordinating between base security and Special Operations Command. His proper recognition of GO-7's capabilities had established his reputation as qualified personnel for detecting classified assets. Chin departed Fort Braxton, maintaining her contractor cover identity while preparing transition to her next assessment assignment. Her successful penetration of base security protocols had validated assessment methodology that would be applied to additional military installations requiring enhanced operational security. Wallace received formal recognition from Pentagon intelligence for implementing security improvements that exceeded requirements and established Fort Braxton as the model installation for contractor verification protocols. His enhanced screening procedures prevented future special operations assets from operating undetected. 6 months after GO-7's mission completion, Pentagon directives required implementation of Fort Braxton security protocols at military installations across 3 geographic commands. The enhanced contractor verification procedures became standard throughout installations requiring special operations coordination. Morrison earned recognition for excellence in administrative coordination while accepting that his career progression would remain within logistical support rather than operational command. His professional competence in supply management provided valuable contribution despite his operational security judgment failure. Burke received assignment to Pentagon intelligence staff based on his professional handling of Ghost 7's investigation and successful implementation of enhanced operational security measures at Fort Braxton. His expertise in special operations asset recognition became part of intelligence training programs. Williams established the Special Operations Security Training Program that provided instruction to security personnel at military installations requiring enhanced protection protocols. His experience with Ghost 7's case became foundation curriculum for recognizing classified personnel operating under civilian cover. Chin's 4,000-meter demonstration became classified case study taught at intelligence schools for illustrating operational security, testing methodology, and appropriate institutional responses to suspected special operations assets discovered during routine base operations. Thompson received promotion to Senior Range Safety Officer while coordinating implementation of enhanced demonstration protocols at military installations, adopting Fort Braxton security improvements. His documentation of Ghost 7's assessment provided template procedures for similar operational security incidents. The contractor evaluation industry adopted enhanced background verification procedures after Pentagon requirements necessitated improved screening for personnel accessing military installations. Ghost 7's successful penetration had revealed industry-wide vulnerabilities requiring systematic correction. Rodriguez and Kim completed specialized training that qualified them as instructors for enhanced security awareness programs being implemented throughout military installations requiring special operations coordination and support capabilities. Wallace coordinated with security chiefs at other installations to share lessons learned from Ghost 7's assessment, while establishing standardized recognition protocols for identifying potential special operations assets among civilian contractors and visitors. 1 year after the Fort Braxton incident, Chin received new assignment to assess contractor security protocols at naval special warfare installations. Her expertise in penetrating military security had established her as the primary asset for testing operational security at facilities requiring enhanced protection. Morrison earned promotion to Senior Administrative Coordinator while maintaining recognition that his operational security judgment failure had provided valuable institutional learning experience. His professional growth demonstrated military capacity for learning from security incidents. Williams led development of Joint Special Operations Security Coordination Protocols that improved recognition and protection of classified assets across multiple military services. His career advancement reflected Pentagon recognition of expertise gained through Ghost 7's case. Chin arrived at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado under new contractor cover identity, carrying documentation for equipment evaluation assignment that would test whether naval security personnel could detect special operations capabilities among civilian contractors. The quiet woman with technical credentials and unassuming appearance approached the base security checkpoint while calculating wind conditions and atmosphere pressure that would affect her next impossible demonstration. Ghost 7's mission continued with enhanced methodology developed through lessons learned at Fort Braxton. Her 4,000-meter shot had become legend within special operations community, while remaining classified information that enhanced operational security training throughout military installations requiring protection of special operations assets operating under civilian cover. The lasting impact of one morning's demonstration continued transforming military security protocols while Ghost 7 prepared to test whether another installation could recognize elite capabilities hidden beneath contractor documentation designed to conceal the deadliest sniper in American special operations history.